Why should we educate people in prisons? Why should they get an education while there are people who follow the law and are not able to gain this education? Is this a free system, or does my hard-earned tax-paying money go into this? Today, we will tell you about how the education system in prisons began and why they are necessary. Hopefully this will help you and answer the questions we have laid out before you. As the lawyer and founder of the Equal Justice Initiative, Brian Stevenson says,
that each of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done. I believe that for every person on the planet.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to summarize for you the meeting that I have just had with the bipartisan leaders, which began at 8 o'clock and was completed 2 hours later. I began the meeting by making this statement, which I think needs to be made to the nation. America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
Starting in the early 70s, Nixon enacted laws that would strengthen crime-related policies. Creating these policies included increasing law enforcement, spending up to $80 million, creating harsher punishments, increasing conviction rates to lower crime rates. However, the strict and harsh reinforcements did the opposite of lowering crime rates and instead raised them to an all-time high. As a result, more and more people were incarcerated while crime rates continued to rise. This created mass incarceration. Mass incarceration is the practice of locking up many people to prison sentences to deter crime. When Carter was elected, it had seemed like tough on crime was slowing down, but he only lasted one term as president. When Reagan became president, he continued Nixon's approach to crime and is often associated with the war on drugs. In 1983, just over 500,000 were incarcerated in prisons and jails within his first term in office. The number more than doubled after he left office in 1988. Since 1970, incarceration rates have noticeably increased. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, they hit their all-time high in 2009, with 754 per 100,000 people being imprisoned. In 50 years, America holds almost 2.3 million people in 1,833 state prisons, 110 federal prisons, 1,772 juvenile correctional facilities, and 3,432 imprisonment facilities. That makes America have the largest rates of incarceration compared to other industrialized countries. What do the numbers tell us? Millions of people are being incarcerated and treated like they are not humans. Many former prisoners' rights are taken away, such as voting. Not only is it hard enough to re-enter society, but this does not allow people to feel humane after they have completed their sentence. Spending years in prison, an isolated place where you are constantly being interrupted, where you are called by a number, and where you are not treated like a human can do harmful things to a person's mind. When incarcerated, their problems that they have to deal with can explode and create another larger problem. Their mental health, a substance use, or poverty can only be worsened with incarceration. As a result, at least 1 in 4 people who go to jail will be arrested again within the same year. Many people are starting to realize that mass incarceration has damaging impacts that are not helping our society, but instead produce injustice and dehumanize a large portion of our population who are in prisons. Why does education solve this problem? This realization has inspired many organizations to establish what is called a prison education program. Organizations like HOPE, Harvard Organization for Prison Education, BPI, Barred Prison Initiative, CEA, Correctional Education, and especially right here at Georgia State Perimeter is the GSU PEP, Georgia State University Prison Education Program. These organizations' goal is to give people in prison another chance in life by providing them an important tool to live, education. Many of these education programs can have a tremendous impact on an incarcerated person's life. In the middle of the chaos of prison, those college programs give students a goal to strive for, a reason to continue on and rehabilitate. They give students the power of knowledge and a chance to redeem themselves through the path of education. The critical question is, how would this benefit our society as a whole? Would providing the tools for education to incarcerated people help other citizens as well? The answer is yes. Most of the incarcerated are bound to be released at one point or another. Educating them would help them rejoin and thrive in society. Looking at the bigger picture, every dollar invested in prison-based education yields $4 to $5 in savings back to taxpayers in reduced incarceration costs. Specifically, according to Vera, prisons with college programs have fewer violent incidents, creating a safer environment for staff and the incarcerated. Every $1 million invested in incarcerations will prevent 350 crimes. In contrast, that same investment in college programs will prevent more than 600 crimes, twice the amount of tangible things such as injuries, hospital costs, etc., and intangible like mental effects. Damages that result from crimes could be prevented if we start to invest in those college programs that work towards increasing recidivism. Why is it important for students like you and me to know about mass incarceration and how organizations are trying to change it? Just like Stevenson said in his book, Just Mercy, we are all implicated when we allow others to be mistreated. We need to be aware of the injustice that is present in the system of mass incarceration and work towards changing it. Simply gaining the knowledge to be an informed citizen can also become a big step in helping others. There are many stigmas against people who were incarcerated that prevent them from living a normal life after prison. They are faced with constant reminders about their crimes and have innumerable barriers to accessing life resources like housing, clothing, jobs, etc. Those obstacles can be helped by the aforementioned college programs. They are able to provide resources and help for those who need it. With more awareness, society will hopefully be more sympathetic to those incarcerated and able to provide them with a better re-entry environment. Each of us can contribute to the cause of educational programs in prisons, no matter how big or small that contribution is. There are numerous helpful resources where you can learn more about the system of mass incarceration and the systematic racism that resulted from it. Specifically here in Georgia State University, we have GSU-PEP, Georgia State University Prison Education Project, where you can join classes and gain a deeper understanding of issues of mass incarceration. GSU-PEP, however, is not the only resource you can utilize. In Georgia, there are local advocacy groups where you can learn about their objectives and progress on the matter of mass incarceration and prison education. Some of these groups are Reform Georgia, a criminal justice policy think tank nonprofit made up of local criminal justice organizations and activists. Their aim is to propose policies adapted from recent research to reform the criminal justice system and its relation to economic issues and racial discrimination. Prison Fellowship, a nonprofit whose aim is to reduce mass incarceration on a federal level by advocating Congress to create bills such as lowering drug offenses and assisting those out of incarceration. Georgia Council on Criminal Justice Reform. Created by the state legislature in 2013, their mission is to review criminal law, procedure, sentencing, supervision, and prison management and suggest reform policies in response. After all, it is our right and power to be informed about the world around us. Thank you for watching.